Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I am a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on October 17th, 2023 at approximately 4:28 p.m. PST. Now, I've returned to this world for one primary purpose, and that is to remind people that working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. I build myself as a spiritual guide because the tools I offer are the exact same tools I personally use in my day to day life. And the philosophies of life I talk about are the precise philosophies I personally live by. Now, with that in mind, by the way, I have shared these tools with literally thousands of people with varying degrees of success based on their own personal endeavors, their own personal efforts. And I see I've left something unclosed, which I shouldn't have done. But hey, what the heck? At least I'm consistent. Now, you'll notice something. This neat little pile that used to have a bunch of junk on it. The junk's been moved where it can be sorted. All of this is scrap paper for the purpose of my lists. So we are getting things mobilized. Okay, now before I get into it, let's start off with the obvious issue. We have eternity in the house with the gold. Joe, you are in with the silver. And Joe, I'm glad your trip to the dentist went well. Okay, yeah, my teeth are not perfect, but they are getting better. Excellent. Yeah, now you've got your day behind the day behind you. Now you focus on the future, and this is what we're talking about today, quite literally. Okay, now we do have Cowie in with the bronze. And Shadow and Sun is in with honorable mention. But we also have here a link for Shadow and Sun's live stream. So, absolutely, drop in when you get the opportunity. Drop in, give him a listen. If you like what he has to say, come right out and give him a thumbs up. Do subscribe to the channel and share the daylights out of the thing. And Philip, how you doing? Glad you could join us. And what do we got going on here? Okay, now I didn't get some of the stuff sorted around that I was aiming at. I was planning on having a whole bunch of extra figures and what have you today. That did not happen for a number of reasons, not the least of which was I got a little sidetracked trying to get things organized. There it is. Now we take this little form, pop it in there. Now, I mentioned a while ago this idea of borrowing a line from Iron Man 3. It's time for a clean slate protocol. And Semper Fi there, Black Dragon. Glad you could join us. You'll be happy to know dinner went well last night, and that worked out really nicely. It was literally a rasher of bacon and a bowl of blueberries for dessert. Now, I will not go so far as to say that bacon rules, primarily because I don't pay attention to many people. But when we look at the thing that I'm standing here looking at right now is role-playing games and your imagination's impact on reality in your life. How can you combine the two? Now, I look at role-playing games in a very simple fashion. They are a way of formulating your future. Okay. I had a girlfriend one day that literally told me, she goes, you don't play Dungeons and Dragons to just escape or to just play a role-playing game. She goes, you literally use the game as a way of organizing, as a way of creating your life. And this is precisely the issue. When you can bring yourself, and this is what I'm working on, when you can bring yourself to the idea that whatever your imagination can produce, you have the capacity to potentially make it a reality. Now, yes, this does require effort. It likely requires the help of people around you. Okay, because I don't know about you, but I don't know how to do everything. What I do know is I've got a meeting with the government coming up on Thursday. Went and got the paperwork from them. And based on what they told me, I says, okay, well, let's get this straight. I'm already expecting you guys to turn me down totally. I'm expecting to do this on my own as far as the government goes and as far as the so-called professionals go. But with that in mind, guys, and with your guys' assistance, I will be able to absolutely turn that around and make things work right. Why do I always have that? Oh, there we go. Yeah. Shadow just goes, hail to the chat and hail to my bacony brothers and sisters. The funny part about it, and it's all your fault, Black. It's all your fault, I would be inclined to say. You've created an interesting subculture here where everybody wants to have bacon. And no, I didn't buy any today. Although on the flip side of that, I do have to, once this stream is over, my elk jerky should be ready to come off the dryer. But let's take now. That's my coffee. Yes, I brought my coffee back. Got my coffee back, and hopefully that's still got water. Yep, got my water, so that's good. And no, I actually don't have any Coke in my possession right now. I do want to get that over here where I can actually get the airflow. There we go. Now that's my scrap for notes that we make. This can go the way of the dodo bird. Joe, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Oh, we covered you. You were in here with the silver in the first place. And Derek, how you doing? Clearly, you've been a busy young lad lately. Nathan, couple of real important things. Yes, uh-oh. Yeah, Nathan, I did get your email, and that's why I ended up responding to it. I checked my phone. I do not have anything that I can tell that is blocking anything. And Black Dragon, that is exactly what it's for. You know, but no, Nathan, couple of very important factors. As you now know, the book is en route. Okay, this is from my standpoint a pretty important little issue. Yeah. I do feel for you. The fact you're conflicted there, Derek, can be really frustrating. Fairness, I can relate to it all too well. But let's get down to business, shall we? As in, how do we take your imagination and change your life for the better? First thing you got to do is number one, accept the fact that it is possible. Regardless of what you're going through, it can, in all likelihood, be turned around. I've taken it to a bit of an extreme. Okay. As in, I looked at the whole issue of, you want to diagnose me dead? Well, that's okay, but I don't agree with you, so I'm carrying on. You know, Rest assured, Derek, our thoughts are with you as far as the whole mess goes. Nathan, ultimately, yes. Okay. I've got, the reality is, in case you hadn't figured it out, in case you guys didn't realize it, I am by no means functionally perfect. I'm not even by any means dysfunctionally perfect, unless you call my dysfunction in the perfection. But it really boils down to this. Move that out of the way. This is that funny little manifestation table that I've got. That thing called a tabletop calendar. Yeah, many of you guys use the electronic ones. Every time I use an electronic one, it scrambles. So I quit. I just quit. It's not that I have anything against technology. It's I have something against frustration. So, with that in mind, I've already booked to the 21st. So, right now, we're looking at the imagination. Now, let me ask you this. They tell the saying is, seeing is believing. The reality is, believing is seeing. Okay. Now, I discovered the other day that I get very wound up over what I consider stupidity. Problem is, what I consider stupidity, many people consider normal. They just don't see it that way. It's very similar to my other half and I were having a little bit of a challenge because of the fact I told her I was down to the wire, financially speaking. The sad reality of that is my down to the wire left me with 3 months pay, 3 months survival in the bank. Okay. Her idea of down to the wire means I'm out of money. That's not the case. Okay. And do not get me wrong. This is why I am working on the other side of things. But one of the things that we got to get straight right off the bat, okay, and any gamer will tell you this quite readily as far as I've ever seen. Well, no, not any gamer. I've seen some gamers that you really wonder how they breathe at all. Because the imagination, you can do what you will with it. Okay, but I know people whose imagination, they can't figure out, they can't imagine getting off of a wet blanket. What are we here? I gotta wait for that to roll. The neat part about it is from that standpoint, and I've told you guys this before, and I live by it wholeheartedly. When your mind can conceive it and your heart can believe it, you can achieve it. Whether you will achieve it depends entirely on you. Yeah, Black Dragon goes, I swear I'm innocent. Obviously, this is relating back to the fact that I just blamed him for actually making a subculture where everybody wants bacon. But like I said, I don't make bacon primarily because, well, I don't actually slaughter the pigs. But on the other hand, I did just make some elk jerky today. Now, I don't do a real fancy job of it. Okay. All I do is cut it down into slices, right? Soak it in about a 50-50 mix. This is not a good mix. I am not a chef, but it works. Okay. I marinate it for 12 to 24 hours in a combination of soy sauce and Worcestershire sauce. Okay. And then I throw it on until it dries. I bought the one of the hindquarters. Don't ask me how much weight it was. I have no idea. I can tell you how much money it was. But the thing was, it threw me for a bit of a loop because I ordered it. I was thinking they were going to be 3 or 4 months getting it. 24 hours later, I had my freezer full. Shadow's going, gaming has a lot of other useful aspects like stress relief, improving one's math skills, organizational skills, and improved planning techniques. Absolutely, Shadow. And this is one of the things, what it doesn't do at least it didn't for me, is I still have ultimately, yes. Although in all fairness, I don't know where they pulled the roast from. For all I know, it may have been a thigh roast. Okay. What I do know is it turned out really well. Yes, I've already had a little bit of it. No, one of the things that I find is that I only have two rules as a game master. Okay, rule one, I'm God. That's it. Rule number two, if you have a question, see rule number one. And I have a major problem, and anybody's input into this is great. What do you do with a person that ignores rule one and two and goes right to the books and pushes the idea of the books? But it says right here in the book, like I can read. But I told the guy, he kept pushing on Sunday. The guy kept pushing it, and I looked at him, I said, one more word out of you, and I'm going to turn that magic spell back on you. Now, this is not the way I like doing things. Unfortunately, since I had the stroke, my ability to control my emotions is not exactly as well developed as I would like. But something did dawn on me. Now, what the heck was it that I just, oh, that's what it was. How we doing, Nine Voices? Glad you could join us. One thing that did come to mind just yesterday was, I lost a number of things. I lost focus on a number of things. But the one thing I gained was the ability to remember how long it takes to get to a certain part of the city, assuming I don't get lost. Okay. And I'll tell you, that is such a relief in a lot of ways. But what I'm looking at here is, okay, I've got a world here. I mean my real physical world. Philip goes, rule number 3, don't talk about Fight Club. Absolutely, Black. Black Dragon goes, if you can think it, then you can imagine it. If you can imagine it, then you can dream it. And if you can dream it, then you can make it become a reality. Absolutely on the money. Okay, so here's what we've got going on. Now, for those of you getting the newsletter, I'm going to apologize right off the bat because I screwed something up on the last newsletter, on the October newsletter. I don't know if you guys noticed it, but I went through them with a fine-tooth comb today or yesterday, one of the two. But in any event, I went through it with a fine-tooth comb to see where I was standing. Turns out the last two articles they were duplicates from the month before. That isn't going to happen again. Yeah, Philip goes, what's rule 0.5? I would be inclined to say think before speaking. Unfortunately, most people don't do that. And no, gamers are not perfect at it either. How you doing, Raven? Glad you could join us. Now, where am I standing? Okay, first and foremost, not that. Oh, got that done. Okay. Oh, I tell you, I had a massive, massive hiccup. Oh, well, that one, fortunately, I didn't have. Yeah, Shadow goes, rule 0.5, don't show up to the game empty-handed. Bring your own snacks and bring a bribe for the dungeon master. See, I don't have to imagine dragons. I mean, from my standpoint, I just simply get along with them. And yes, the neat part there, I came across it the other day, and I've got to do some modifications. It's a good thing. Like, I quit with the idea of my deadline for getting Return to Paradise out, but we went through a major, not a major rewrite, but a major research to find out about a little bit of a hiccup that I had to figure out how to correct it. Now got it corrected. There's been some interesting developments that if you've got the first two books, the third one has a real twist in it. And yes, effective tonight, you will find a post. Matter of fact, where did I require right there. That'll work. Okay. Now I'm just making a note to make sure I get these things done tonight when I get done. Where are we? Yeah, Phil goes, I try to think. A thinking attempt is made. Yo, the neat little part about it is thinking is the easy part. Staying focused may be a challenge. I know it is for me half the time, in case you couldn't tell. But I am looking at this. Oh, don't need that there. That can go on the door to go out. That way I don't have to worry about it afterwards. Oh, that's what that is. Take that. Okay, needed those out of the way because my other half decides she wanted I've got a pair of brass unicorns here. And don't go there, people. I've got a pair of brass unicorns. My ex was getting rid of them, and my other half wants them, so they get moved around. Doesn't it though? Oh, speaking of mortally violent, I was looking and there was a post I saw today. And the guy goes, actually it wasn't a post, it was a little video. And the guy goes, look, he said, I gotta tell you these two stats. Okay, number one, 44% of marriages end in divorce. Okay, so he goes, what about the other 56 that don't end in divorce? They end in death. Both of these outcomes do not sound entirely enjoyable, but it depends on how the death happens. I can tell you that from personal experience, not regarding my marriage. But take a look at the world you've got. I'm looking at the world I've got and going, okay, not happy. But you'll notice something really neat. Like I said, now Sammy here, now has a clear place that he can sit. And he's no longer crowded. Because I'm getting rid of the stuff that's out of the way. Okay, but I've got the newsletter now organized. I will be working out the pricing and what have you for consulting packages, for the whole 9 yards, books, everything. And as I come up with it, I'll be posting it first on Facebook and then on Facebook and what have you, on social media. Then I will be adding it to the newsletter so people have a copy of it right directly. Because it's time to start doing things. I know the government's going to turn me down. I'll be shocked if they don't. But wish me luck. They told me when I cashed out the one investment that it was usually paid out in a week and a half to 2 weeks. 2 weeks will be the 14th. Will be the 21st. So where are we here? 21st is Saturday. which means with a little bit of luck, it'll be here on Friday, at which point I don't have as much to worry about. Oops. Gee, I usually find that happiness causes sudden and painful hiccups. And trust me on this, I don't like hiccups. Oh, would you look at that? Whoa, whoa, whoa. I hate in vertigo. It is not fun. But at least I didn't hit the floor this time. But take a look at where your life is. Take a look at what you're up to. And what are you going to do to make your life better? Not what is God going to do. I was listening to somebody today. Oh, God will take care of everything. No, frankly, He won't. He gave you free will, gave you freedom of choice. Unless we take the gaming rule. Okay. And if you are a game master, and every single one of you is a game master, you just may not realize it. You're a game master over your own life. Okay. And this is where taking that imagination, bringing it through the heart and into the palm of your hands becomes such a viable issue. Okay. Now I can make you all dizzy and just swing that back and forth until I break the hinge. We got to realize. Yep, absolutely, Philip. Philip goes, I support healthy happiness and happy healthiness. Okay, like I'm paying very close attention lately to what my health is looking like. Even got a real bonus from my eldest son because he noticed he's spending too much money, as so have I been. But he all of a sudden decides I'm going to be buying stuff and making dinner at like 3 o'clock in the morning because that's when I'm up. When he's up, and asked if we wanted him to actually do the same thing. It's like, and I looked at him and I said, "That's a no-brainer." The reality is, I'm spending $300 to $400 a month at a restaurant because I cannot tolerate cooking. Okay, he wants to take over cooking. It's going to save me, pretty much about $300 a month. Okay. And it'll be healthier eating because I know how he cooks. And rest assured, it's so much better than the way I do. Of course, I came to the understanding that if you're cooking something, I swear I'd make a great Orcish cook. If it's not moving, it's cooked. And that's just the way that goes. Take that, put that out of the way. I'll deal with that afterwards. Now, I'm looking at this. Okay, how do we get my world to shift and start building the empire I'm talking about? This is where your imagination comes in with your life. Like I said, you know, like I said, every single one of you is a game master over your own life. Okay, you've got to worry about the general rules, as in what society says. You know, Contrary to popular belief, what you can't see can hurt you, because I cannot tell you the number of people that have been run over or been shot. You never see the bullet coming, but boy, do you ever feel the side effects. Sometimes it's the guy next door to you. Okay, one day, Philip, and I fully intend on doing this. I made the commitment a long time ago to myself. I'll go into a restaurant one day. I'll buy not just like normally I tip well anyway, but as my money starts to grow, I'm going to go into a restaurant, get a standard meal, and one day I'm just going to go, here's $100 tip, and then I'll up it a little the next time. Okay, I'm not saying a time frame on it. This is just when I have the money to do it. Okay, I had a character one day. The chap was a dwarf. Okay, went in, bought an absolute derelict bar, paid to renovate the thing, then looks at the owner and goes, "I want to keep you on as a general manager. I'll handle the rest of it." So the guy stays on. Well, what did I turn around and do? I went to the waitress, to the head waitress, and I said, "Okay, what are you getting paid?" And she goes, "I'm getting, I'm getting a silver a day," which, by the way, ain't great money. I said, "Well, that sure as heck isn't going to continue." And so, of course, she went the normal route. She goes, "Oh," and gets really, really kind of depressed about it. I says, "You're up to a gold a day now." Okay, because I'm a firm believer, money in my hand is not going to multiply. Money traveling out and coming back will. Remember that thing I mentioned? Energy out, energy in. Oh, there we go. Nathan goes, "Okay, now I can type again. I was on the phone before." Yeah, well, I tell you, trying to talk on the phone, if you're standing or sitting on it, doesn't work well, Nathan. Now, here's just a thought for you guys. Exactly. And here is a thought for you, and I've been looking at it rather emphatically. What do we got? What do we got? Philip goes, "Sounds like the Blood King in the girl in the show Lost Girl from Canada. It's my favorite show from Canada. The Blood King is a little person who owns a bar." That sounds like a lot of fun. Have we really? We really do. We got 10 in the room already. Now, I desire, and this is what I'm aiming for. Okay. I desire to see that grow exponentially. It's not an issue of having a room that is thousands of people deep, because I'm still only going to be able to handle a few questions at a time. Okay. But as some people have responded or have reacted to it, like I said, if you've got a question and you don't, if you've got a question and you don't answer it here, absolutely look at the list of access points below this video, and for that matter, every video, and drop me a line. I will do my best to answer. I have absolutely, or at least I like to think, I've become a lot more focused on making certain I get to things. As a matter of fact, let me just double check one little detail. Comments. Oh, bonus. I'm looking at this. This is fantastic. Okay. I actually went through all of my past emails, all my past comments on my channel. So some of you may have just received a response from a show from 2 years ago, but they are all up to date. So today, okay, I'm just gonna read a couple of these just because I can. Yeah, in all fairness, Philip, it probably is. Um, okay, I'm looking at this, and there's one, I've got one comment here that goes, why doesn't anyone ever leave comments? This I don't have an answer for. Okay, I get a few comments, and now I'm up to date. I am going to be responding to them. Like I'm looking here, I've got 5 in queue. As soon as I get done the stream, or maybe while I'm on the stream, I haven't decided. I will get them answered today. Okay, but here's the thing. Okay, from my standpoint, I'm using this stream, okay, and the newsletter to start to grow my reach. Okay, I don't know how well it's going to work on my arms, but what the heck. But they are going to be reached. They are going to be reached today, or responded to today. So we've got 5 people that have left comments. One was, quite frankly, yesterday, But that's okay. It won't go any further into the past. I'm just leaving that there. What do we got here? Well, yeah, I think that was likely the last one they had to do there. Nathan goes, then again, I'm still getting replies from 14, 15 years back, asking about a printer I had back then. It's long gone. Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, Phelps goes, it's not true that excessive commenting causes hair to grow on our palms. It's not true. And we're just going to leave that little myth alone. The rest of that one. But no, where is this? I think this is the right one. This is just a list, is just the small side of a list of poems that I've done that are now going to be worked on to go into print. This is articles that I've written. As you can see, way too much paperwork. Although I am down another stack. And again, the imagination is the key here. You desire your life to shift gears. Get the idea in your head. Get it on paper. And like I said, okay, and yes, I hide it right now primarily because, but that's my dream board. Okay, now I don't have enough wall space in here to work with and in the room right now. Okay, but take a look at what you desire. Now I'm down 25% off of what I had in the way of paperwork to go through. Okay, so that is clearing out. But take a look at the world. Now, in my case, okay, I'm looking at the world we live in and going, okay, everybody out there is an NPC. I am the person that's controlling my world, controlling the way my business is going to grow. Now, I will tell you this. Okay, as I say with my company, the future is my business. The present is your life. And let's get your life turned around. Because we get your life moving in the direction you desire it to go, we can make this world a far better world for virtually everybody. Yes, there are absolutely going to be those sticks in the mud that create a problem. Okay. From my standpoint, I'm still working on how the algorithms work. World, how you doing? World Bigfoot has just entered the room. And where are we here? Right here. This is the link to World's live stream. So we pop that in there. Drop by, give him a listen. If you like what he has to say, give him a thumbs up. And absolutely subscribe to the channel and then share the daylights out of the thing. Now, where am I? Let us go back to here. I am currently, we're seeing right now. Yeah. Oh, yeah. World just goes NBC, CNN show host. Now, the fact of the matter is, I don't watch the news at all. Okay. But much as I don't watch the news, I have every intention at this point of making the news in a positive fashion. Or maybe I'll go the route of making the news up. I mean, heck, that's what half the major media do, I'm sure of it. Because I've listened to reports. Like, I remember listening to a radio report, and the guy goes, he sits there and he says, yeah, I'm going to read exactly what it says here, okay, on the news report. And this was about 5-6 years back. He goes, I'm going to read off exactly what it says here. Okay. And he opens up his file and he says, it says right here, last year, I forget whether it was one state or whether it was all the United States. Okay. But or 1 month or in one state or 1 month for the entire state. I don't know. Okay. I think it was only one state for 1 month. But he goes, it says right here that there were 16,000 suicides last month. He goes, of those 16,000 people, 4,000 played Dungeons and Dragons. Okay. And he says, that's where it ends. He says, now I'm going to say what's going to get me in trouble. He goes, if you look at that statistic, this indicates that 25% of the people that commit suicide are playing Dungeons and Dragons. Okay. Now he says that's a pretty horrendous number. Okay. And he says, but here's the part that doesn't make sense. And this is why I say statistics can be modified. They can be utilized. And I'll get to that in half a second. But he goes, what I would really like to know is how many of those 16,000 people played chess. Okay. Now I will tell you, again, I'm looking at, and this is just my imagination doing its thing. I used to watch the commercials that would say 4 out of 5 dentists, 4 out of 5 dentists recommend Crest toothpaste or whatever toothpaste. 4 out of 5. Okay, now that sounds like 80% of the dentists that are being interviewed are saying go after this one brand. Fantastic marketing. Until you research it and realize they had to ask 100 different dentists to find 4. And then they took 4 plus a spare, and all of a sudden you're dealing with 4% of the dentists recommend this type of toothpaste. This is why I say, statistically speaking, ignore it. Statistics are wonderful. They're great for marketing. They're great for manipulation. But unless you're taking the entire package, they're almost useless and absolutely misleading. Okay, the difference, let me ask you this. What is the difference between yourself and, let's just say, let's just pick a really well-known name. What's the difference between you and Elon Musk? Okay, aside from the obvious, you may have gender differences. But aside from that, what is the one difference? Okay, now I'm looking at this little empire that I'm building. All I've got is me working in an office, and you can see the entire size of my office. As time goes on, this is going to change. Absolutely, he's got more money. But is he any different than you? Okay, Elon Musk absolutely has more money. But, okay, is there any reason you can't have that kind of money? No, you don't. But what would you do if I told you that's only a symbol? Okay, Elon Musk used his mind, used his marketing to generate the money to be able to get to the point of making that rocket ship. Okay. I'm looking at this going, okay, right now, I'm on air for 2 hours. And what's happened now regularly is when I look at the stats at the end of the show, regularly, I calculate out, the way I do my calculation is this. I look at the peak number of people in the room, okay, divide that by, or multiply that rather, by the average length of time that it shows that people are listening, which I am very happy to say is recently breaking the half-hour mark. Okay, then I take that total, divide it by 60. That tells me how many hours. Now, that's boiling down to about 10 hours, 10 to 11 hours, based on the people in the room. But when you look at the total viewing hours, regularly it's breaking 24. Yeah, and I'm glad it's helping there, Joe. The one thing I will say, much as I will not go to a dentist, there's a lot of reasons for that, but the big one is PTSD. I can't go into the dentist. I can't go into the building without my blood pressure going through the roof. But if you've got a dentist and you don't suffer from PTSD, far better they work on your teeth than you do. Although I got a buddy that actually withdrew his own. He snapped a molar off. He withdrew it withdrew his molar at the dining room table. Now I was at the other end eating dinner, right? He's got a pair of pliers and he's removing his molar, right? And no, he was not drunk. You know, so I don't have a pain threshold like that. Would be nice if I did sometimes. Now, what is that? I don't need that there. Wow, what did I just do? Oh, good. I didn't destroy everything. Yeah, in my case, Philip, no, I really can't. I've got a worse problem with the hospital. Okay. I have no doubt oral surgeons are way better there, Derek. Unfortunately, we have a very serious complication there. So what I'm in the process of doing is figuring out how to rebuild my teeth without the benefit of the dentist. And by the first thing I had to do was stop them from degrading. That one I seem to have managed. What do we go here? Nathan's gone. Just got off the phone with somebody whose mind is about to go by staying in a relationship with a narcissist. I told her living in a car is better than where you are. And well, that depends on where the car's parked. I will tell you, living in a car parked on the railroad track, not a good idea. I do feel for her there, Nathan, but you're right. If she's living with a narcissist, absolutely, in my opinion, bail. Because you're not going to get anywhere. Okay, I know another young lass that I've got to talk to, and talk about self-centered. The reality is, if you're not being treated properly, and this is why, when I was doing full-time consulting, this is why I would tell people, look, if you're not content, if you're not being treated decently, there is somebody out there that will treat you decently. They do exist. Granted, in a lot of cases, they're rare. Well, I agree with you there, Nathan. Depending on what you're dealing with, but the reality is, I absolutely concur. If you're living with a narcissist or a bully, which, by the way, narcissists have a tendency of being bullies anyway, just in their case, quite often, they don't realize it. Of course, they don't realize anything about other people. Raven, that again is one of these little things. Well, it's a huge thing. And this is why I said I've been living on the edge of poverty my entire life. So what did I do? I went, okay, not happy. How do we change that? So I've got this great big picture now of reaching around the world, okay, and helping people understand You have the ability to change your life, regardless of where you're living, regardless of what you're going through, and absolutely regardless of what you've been through. Okay, the reality of that is it's time, and like I said at the beginning of the show, I'm absolutely borrowing a line from Iron Man 3. It is time for the clean slate protocol. Okay. Now, with that in mind, where am I going here? Well, I know where I'm going, but this is my neat little box. Word of mouth advertising. That's my database. This is the thing that I desire to have grow. And yes, if I recall, let me just get this sorted around. Not there. I require that. I've got one little thing I've got to do. But before I get done tonight, actually, I might be able to modify that anyway. Might just send it out that way. As a matter of fact, I probably will. Let us just see. What I'm looking at is the newsletter and what I've done with it. Yeah, I think I'm going to do that. Okay, but I've done a major overhaul on the layout, as far as I'm concerned, as in tracking everything. So, where did I just put the other? Right there. Okay. Joe's going, the problem is with the dentist, the after effect is the bill. I live with my parents. They have to pay for it. Unfortunately, I'm on disability. Now, I will tell you there, Joe, if you're on disability, that's the one thing I'm not yet. Okay. The closest I've got to disability right now is I've got a parking pass. Okay. But part of that may just be stubborn disposition. Okay. But the reality, think of it this way, Joe, the dentist bill is horrendous. Absolutely. But think of the problem if you don't have the dentist straighten out the mess. And by the way, yes, there are those of you that look at it and go, well, the government is setting things up so our teeth deteriorate. Absolutely, I agree with you. Okay, I absolutely do. But the fact they're setting it up that way does not mean your teeth have to fall apart. I got a buddy that literally his teeth are in absolutely perfect shape. Okay, absolutely perfect. The reason he ended up pulling the tooth was because he frankly broke the thing. Okay, but if when you pay attention to what your health is doing, talk to people that are living with their health changing. I mean, you take a look at me, just for an example, and I'm no nutritionist. Okay, heck, my diet is absolutely pathetic most of the time, but I hit 246 pounds 2 years ago. I got it in my head I was not going to break 250. Okay. In a day, what is today? This is Tuesday. So I'll ignore it and continue working towards dropping my weight. But I will check again on Sunday and find out what my weight is down to. And yes, I am deliberately keeping an eye on it. But I imagine my body being a lot lighter. And I have been consistently dropping about 1.5 to 2 pounds a month. Okay, here I am. Okay, or no, sorry, about 1.5 to 2 pounds a week. I had a setback last year, but here I am 2 years later, and I am down 50 pounds. Okay, I am going to continue dropping that because amazingly to me, I imagined my body lighter. I desired to get out of the 30-inch waist, the 38-inch waist I was in. And I desired to get out of it the other direction. I'm now down to a 34. Oh, Nathan, that I am absolutely working on that. About 2 weeks ago, I think, somebody mentioned that somebody asked if I was doing the weight still. And truth be told, I'd slacked right off. But since that comment was made, I've been working on them. And I'm just about to increase the weight again. I'm not a weightlifter. Okay. But, that's all this is about 13 pounds. No, my apology. Yeah, that's about 13 pounds right there. Okay, but within the next day or two, I'm going to be increasing that to almost 20. My goal was to hit 25 before the end of the year. That'd do it, Nathan. But where am I going to get car parts? First of all, I'm on a cane, so the walking doesn't work that well. Second of all, if I'm starting to move boxes of car parts, I might be in a lot bigger trouble because I'm not a mechanic. Although I was pretty good at pulling things apart, putting them back together, but I thought I was a pretty good mechanic when I was a kid. I could pull a machine apart, no problem. I could put it back together after a time and have it work. But I'd have parts left over, so I figured I was a better mechanic than the one that built it in the first place. Not necessarily right, but it worked. Good thought, Joe. Yo, I will tell you this, just a thought. If your teeth are loose, and this is what worked for me. Okay, all I did was take a cup of water, okay, pop it in the mic for a minute, add a quarter teaspoon of salt to it, stirred the thing up, and then left it sit in my sink. So that when I did my teeth, I would rinse out my mouth with salt water with that mixture I just told you about. Within 2, maybe 3 days, my teeth stabilized, as in were no longer loose. This is something that you might want to look into. But again, do your own research. And for pity's sakes, don't drink the salt water. Yeah, I know I emphasize that. Logic dictates if it's salt water to that point, don't drink it. Logic doesn't work well for many people. Okay, I could show you what my teeth look like, but that's just a disgusting picture. Okay, but then my acid content is absolutely insane. But I got this idea in my head. I'm building an empire. I'm done with this idea of living on the edge of poverty. I'm just finished with it. And since the government isn't helping, can't imagine that. I'm from the government. I'm here to help. Yeah, no. Not my experience anyway. But I've got this image in my head of a great big healing center. Okay, and I mean true healing, where we remind people I'm starting this now through here, through the direct consulting, where we can show you, and yes, I am saying that very directly. I don't know. Philip goes, does IKEA make cars? As far as I understand it, they only make wood stuff, sort of wood stuff. Christine, how you doing? Glad you could join us. When I say I can teach people how to do what I do, I'm not just talking about it. But don't take my word for it. No. Absolutely not, Derek. Number one, I am excessively monogamous. Number two, even when I was very single, I had no interest at all in going into even going into a strip club. Okay, never mind crawling into bed with a stranger. The nice little part about it, from my standpoint, after doing this kind of work, literally starting when I was 10, have I learned a few things over the years? Yeah. A lot of them by trial and error, a lot of them by stupid maneuvering on my own part. But do I know how to turn things around? Absolutely. Am I going to turn things around now in my own life? You can bet your bottom dollar on it. I wouldn't recommend betting personally, but hey, what the heck? I'm betting my life on it. But then it's my life. I'm either going to make something happen and you're either going to make something happen or you're not. Now, let me ask you guys, are you content with where your life is right this moment? Okay. If the answer is yes, then absolutely stay on path. If it is no, it's time to alter it. Okay. But what I did was this. I went, okay, I've got this picture in my head. It's time to make it happen. Which is why, professional procrastination will get you absolutely nowhere. Okay, Christine. Um, let's start, and this applies to all of you guys. All of you? I don't know. Suddenly I developed a southern accent or something. Kimberly, how you doing? Glad you could join us. The way to start that changing, and the way to start changing that, Christine. Okay. Um, the way to start changing that. Pick one aspect of your life. Doesn't matter how minimal, how tiny it may seem. Okay. Pick one aspect you're not content with. Okay. Now, here's how quick this can happen. Let me show you just how fast this can happen. Okay. Thing I'm not content with is not this. This can stay here. But see this little thing? It's got to go out to my car. This is just an empty bag. But I don't like it when it's sitting there. So I'm going to be right back. And that is how fast things can change. Okay, right now I've only hung it on the door up front. Where are we here? What do we got? Yeah, that was done decades ago, Dare. I'm just looking at what you guys are talking about there. That whole issue, I don't know whether it was qualified as a pyramid scheme, but I will tell you this. It does run into a one heck of a snag. Okay, Christine, I absolutely agree with you. I actually have told a couple, I keep getting people contacting me going, oh, we can market your business for you for X dollars. I'm like, guys, I've already spent too much. Okay, but Christine, let me ask you this. Now, I understand the idea. Christine's just said, I'm not, I am financially, quit moving. I am financially not in a good place to donate money. I'm too afraid to do it on YouTube. Christine, I can relate to that personally all too well. Okay, but let me ask you this. Are you in a financial position where you can alter your own perception and thereby using, or more to the point, are you in a position where you can look at Chad altering your own financial state utilizing your money, not utilizing anybody else's, not asking for donations, not donating to somebody in the hopes it'll come back? Because this method that Eric is talking about, I remember it going through the runner probably 30 years ago. and something blew it out of the water. I don't remember what it was, but then I never got involved in it. Yeah, no doubt there, world. You know, I mean, basically, I'm in the same boat from that end, but I look at it this way. I am looking at monetizing this channel, but understand I am never going to charge to get into this channel. Ever. It's like the newsletter. I'm not ever going to add a cost to it. Okay. On the other hand, I am quite willing to accept money. I'm just not that proud. I figure, what the heck? Money comes in. I know I'm not going to sink it all into my world. What do we got here? I haven't even I'm looking at what you just said there, Kimberly, and I absolutely agree with you. I just haven't figured out how to do it. Okay. You can get donations now. Just make a link to your PayPal. Oh, I'm presuming, Derek, you're referring to doing that on my Facebook, or on my Facebook, or on one of my other sites I've got clear access to. Oh, Derek, perfect. I do appreciate that, Derek, and that would be really handy. I keep meaning to do it, and I keep looking at the stuff going, okay, this is all Swahili. And I don't speak Swahili. I speak a little bit of Hausa, but that's it. It's funny. My little brother asked me years ago. He goes, "Keith, do you speak Latin?" I says, "No, not yet." He says, "Would you be willing to help me by reading what's in the book?" So that I can learn, because he was learning Latin. I looked at him. I said, "Yeah, no problem." So I opened the book up. I started reading it, and we're working together. And at the end of the session, he looks at me and goes, "Keith, I thought you said you don't speak Latin." So I don't. He says, "Well, how the heck did you do that?" I said, "You gave me the book. I says, "You gave me the book." What do we got here? Phelps going, money is the root of a weevil. That's terrible. That really is. Kimberly, that's your webpage, right? Gonna have to look that up. Where are we here? As I keep telling people, you know, as I keep telling people, absolutely imperative. If you've got a stream, if you've got a web page you're striving to promote, make sure you get an address to me. Okay, because I will be more than happy to absolutely promote your guys streams here, your guys streams, pages, whatever. Okay. Now, granted, there are limits. I do have my own guidelines. Like, one, just flat out, I won't do it. And I got approached by somebody one day, and their site was absolutely an adult site. I looked at it and went, I'm not posting it. But you said you promote people's pages. Yeah, but I don't promote that. You know, so I mean, but from my standpoint, it boils down to this. I see this world, the world we're living in, we have a choice, but it boils down to it's a choice we have to make together. Where the majority of people, when we're pushing for peace, when we're pushing for a better world for people, when more people are pushing for it than pushing against it, it will change the tide of society. It is not up, you know, it is not up to the elites. It is to the so-called elites. It's not up to any one nation. It's not up to it's not up to the governments or the major industries. It is up to us, the individuals. Okay. Now I will tell you, when I talk about building an empire, I see an empire. You know, I see an empire in my eyes as having a very large building, but I will get involved as money presents itself in virtually every industry, not the least of which is housing for the people that are in. Well, I'm talking about low income housing. I don't mean register you as low income. I mean you're working and having trouble making ends meet. And I only require X amount to pay the bill. Because you think about it. Okay. I'm living in an apartment right now where every month the company that owns this place is making $50,000 every month. Okay, now I have no idea what a mortgage looks like as far as value goes. I can tell you this: I'm going to when I do it, I'm going to do it in such a way that it is not going to be exorbitant for anybody. And no, will not be dependent upon, oh, if you've got X amount of dollars, I can charge you more. That ain't the way I work. This is why I say I picture an empire where I am charging, everything is based on a very simple formula. Because I've got to make a living, no question there. Brainbox. I'll turn for a calculator. I require 2,500 divide by 80. At $80 an hour, I require a whopping 31 clients in a month. 31 hours of work in a month. World, that is phenomenal. World goes, my income is so high, I am almost halfway to the poverty line now. That's insane. But no, I look at it. I can live high on the hog in my world at $2,500 a month, which really boils down to 31 hours of work, as in an hour's work a day. Now, the reality is, if I can do that, and I know I can do that, and I'm going to come right out and put it this way. Okay, there's a lot of lines out there. There's a lot of psychic lines out there. I used to work for one. I was lucky. Okay, I worked for one that paid by the hour. But there's a lot of psychic lines out there that are charging literally $3 a minute. Okay, but those psychics are getting jack. Okay, they're getting pennies on that dollar. There goes. I've dropped over $5,000 on YouTube this year. Desiree and dropped the hammer on me. Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, and this I didn't know that, Kimberly. That is insane. Okay, at $10 a minute, the people that require the assistance cannot afford that. Which is why, yes, I charge $80 an hour. But here's the kicker to it: I charge $80 an hour at $20 for 15 minutes. Okay, now I spent 23 years on the same line. Okay, I used to work, and I can do this because, well, they closed the doors. Okay, I used to work on air, like on the phone, for a company called Mystical Connections. Used to work for a company called Heavenly Rays. years ago, worked for Heavenly Psychic Answers, and the list goes on. Okay, I'm still doing the same thing. World goes, I was on Sparrow Lamprey's show, Lifestyles of the Destitute and Unknown. You know, yo, yeah, I'm better known now, quite frankly, through here than I have been in a while. But then, quite honestly, you spend 50 years hiding from the world, it gets pretty easy to get unknown. You know, but what the way I look at it is I'm no longer interested in waiting for the government. So I figure, okay, I've got three venues that I'm working on. One is the consulting side. And this is literally letting my imagination do what it does best. There's a picture. That's what I'm going to fill. Okay. And honestly, and I know this is, yeah, what have we got here? Kimberly, I cannot read that. I just gotta wait for one more man, one more. Oh, there we are. Yeah, champagne wishes and caviar dreams. Yeah, that's an excellent saying. The other one that I live by was, champagne taste and a beer bottle budget. Which in today's world, there's not much difference. You know, but the reality from my standpoint is this. I start building things now. I start pushing for them now. I look at this one individual. He had a dream. Okay, Black Dragon, and we are still awake and live. This is good. There was a gentleman. He turned 65. You may know him better as Colonel Sanders. From my understanding, at 65, he opened his first chicken stand, told people this is what I desire done. They refused to do it his way. So 4 months later, he closed the doors. I don't know what he called it originally, but he opened it a month after that, reopened under the current name, under the name Kentucky Fried Chicken. And today he's a household name. Of course, today somebody else took over and the quality went through the floor, in my opinion. You know, the neat part there is when I look at it, like I get told, if it's a natural ability, you shouldn't charge. Well, let me ask you this. It's a natural ability. If I don't charge, where do I get the income to keep a roof over my head to keep doing it? Yeah, the world goes, white port wishes and a fried spam dream. This is the funny thing. This is the funny thing about it, world. We take a look at the world. The people that are really well off, that have lots of money, they're the ones that notice the depression. They're the ones that notice hiccups. Okay. The people that are struggling moment to moment, day to day, those are the ones that don't. Those are the ones that literally never notice a depression. They never notice a food shortage because we're always struggling with it. Now, my idea is real simple. I will take the increase in the money that I make and turn it back over to the community, because I will tell you, it works wonders for my pocketbook. But the fact of the matter is, when I die, I'm not taking it with me. Yeah, Derek goes. A lot of times, people get stage fright when speaking to celebrities whoa, world known people in a certain field. Got to remember, they are famous. They are just human. They are still people that are famous. Okay, Yeah, you notice that too, eh, world? I'm running down to I'm getting tight. From my end, it's tied. Like I've always looked at the working poor. Like there are so many people I know of, and it absolutely annoyed me the other day. I was approached by a guy that claimed, and he didn't claim. He's a very solid member of a close church. The church refused to help him with his own food bills. They are absolutely give us your money, but you'd think they would help. No, they won't. On the whole, there are some parishes that do. Okay, but I'm looking at making that change. Now I can only do it on my end. With your guys' help, I will be able to get word out and start actually generating an income because the Lord knows the government's not going to do it. And I go to work for somebody else. Right now, I've got a great record. I've never been fired. I've quit 2 jobs that I got rehired for. Okay. I've got no interest in creating an extra problem for myself. Besides that, I don't like people enough to leave the house. But as you well know, I'm not exactly known for stating things subtly. Okay, and this is why. Take your imagination, let it run wild. Okay, absolutely, let your imagination paint the biggest, most brilliant, absolutely sparkling colored future you can imagine, and then start altering things to make that happen. That is fantastic, there, Derek. Yeah, and that's just it, Black. Yes, Philip, she would be. Our Lady of Perpetual Milkshakes and Cheeseburgers would be a popular church. Absolutely. See, unfortunately, and this is why I say their world, some churches are absolutely great. Others, it's like, okay, yes, I'm a church, I'll take care of the ill and I'll take care of the poor if you believe exactly what I say. Okay. And that's a bit of a problem. You know, my outlook on it is this. Okay, I've got this idea of a healing center that as it grows, and I'm going to start it. Well, I've already started it. Okay, this live stream and the newsletter are the backbone way of reaching out. From there, I'll see where things go. Yeah, some of them will. Unfortunately, we can look at the churches and you can say, yes, there are certainly some parishes, some churches that do that. But my research on the internet, yes, about 3 years ago, I looked into it. At that time, okay, at that time, the Christian church had, now this is a unified church, and check the numbers yourself. At that time, the Christian church had 45,000 different denominations and controlled 55% of the world's wealth. Now, if that is the case, and they are the ones that are supposed to be helping the poor, why do we have so many poor? Okay, this is what doesn't make sense to me. But I'm looking at putting a healing center together where when people come, and they will, okay, not with the idea of if you build it, they will come. I look at it and do this. I desire my room, my office, to change its configuration. This is one of those nice little setups. You know, I mean, the reality is, getting handouts, I will tell you, people that get handouts when they actually have to work for it, absolutely. Well, Kimberly, I've thought about it for a long time, but now I'm literally actively building it. I don't have the money to put the building in place, so I'm building it on a virtual level to start with, and we will see how it grows. Okay, right now, let's face it, I'm at ground one, at ground level. You know, so are we going to have it? The answer is yes. Okay, I'm going to not in that healing center. I am setting up courses and what have you. And yes, I will be charging for them. Absolutely. Guess what? Can't survive if I don't have an income. Or more to the point, won't survive. Unless I end up getting handouts from everybody else. I'd much prefer to do the work. Okay, so I'm laying it all out. Exactly. Now, do understand when I'm talking a healing center, I am talking about a world, a center that, yes, first, we will deal with the philosophy, with the psychology of a better outlook. Because many people, the problem is they don't know where to start. You know, I desire my life to be better, but how? Okay, how do I go about doing that? Absolutely, Kimberly. You've got to have, you've got to have your shamans, your naturopaths, your veterinarians, the whole nine yards. We're basically on the same page there, Kimberly. In all fairness, you know, I'm just not waiting to have the money to put a building together yet. I will build that after the fact. But like I said, this neat little database is how I track. Because, see, the number one method of advertising is word of mouth. If you can imagine a world where word of mouth advertising actually got paid, you're looking right at it right now. Okay. I'm literally putting it together to really move things into motion. I've already picked a starting date, which will be like for me to start paying that out because by then I'll have it sorted around. Kimberly, odd question for you. How can you grow inorganic food? I will not debate that, people that are growing so-called organic food don't spray the toxin directly onto the food. Absolutely agree with you. But they still use the same water and the same soil. You know, the sad part is I look at now maybe I'm a little no, definitely I'm a little too literal for my own good. In my opinion, organic food means it's digestible. Inorganic means it's plastic. At which point I don't recommend you eating it, and I definitely don't think you can get it to grow. You can get it to spread out, but that requires a lot of heat. You know, yeah, there are ways, and there are definitely healthier ways than going and buying your food in a grocery store or buying it from a major market. Okay, there definitely are. I was lucky. My eldest son is a trained cook, and he's just volunteered to do the cooking around the house. he requires a little bit of help with bringing the food in. You know, and so I mean, from my standpoint, it's a done deal. It's just inexpensive as all get out comparatively. But I'm looking at the world. I imagine this world that we've got everybody, and I know this can be done because I lived here 50,000 years ago. We had it. We had no war, no famine. Okay, we had no greed. It can be done again. People just need the guidance. Okay, now in my case, I happen to be drawing on memory. Okay, many of you take a look at the world you're living in and ask yourself, what are you doing that you can change to alter the path you're on? Okay, that's the biggest thing we have to look at. Absolutely. That I mean, you're definitely looking on the right track in my eyes. Yeah, well, that's just it. Um, you know, I make grilled cheese sandwiches in the microwave. Primarily because, well, frankly, I don't like working on the stove. But they work out just as well, in my opinion. Of course, I've got the taste buds. Well, we won't go there. I don't have real, I don't have real taste buds to work with. But yeah, Kimberly, just a thought. Absolutely build your healing center. It's like I've told people. People say, well, you got to keep what you're doing a secret. No, I don't. I cannot have, in the healing center I'm working on, will not be able to service everybody on the world, on the planet. It's just not feasible. However, several thousand healing centers around the world would be a wondrous step in the right direction. But I will tell you, Kimberly, start planning it out on paper. I wonder if I've got mine here. See if I organized it right. I think that's that there. Just looking for one little piece of information here. Okay, this will work. Bingo. Here's an idea, Kimberly. And it's one that clearly I'm holding on to the thing. Okay. I literally have taken, if you take a look at this, I doubt you can read it. Okay. But this says Inner Voice Enterprises corporate structure. This is designed so, and the way I've laid this out, okay, literally breaks it down to the point where when I'm drawing $1 billion a month, I can still make this work. Get your idea on paper. Okay. And the reason I say on paper is because by taking it out of the etheric plane, out of your mind, onto paper, you're drawing it into the physical world where you can make it manifest. This is where your imagination comes in. Okay. I've spent a lot of years talking about it. Okay. Now, um, well, yeah, you're more than welcome, Kimberly. I've spent a lot of time with my garbage and with my paperwork in the end. But get this, and I've gotten this is why I said this will be will the doors will open. Well, they're open now as far as consulting, as far as the books go. I will be opening the school side of it with courses and what have you in January of 2024. I'm not waiting for the government to say, oh, you got to do this in a different fashion. I'm not interested in whether they like the way I'm doing it, as long as I'm following law, because I don't like the idea of vertical barcing. And yes, for those of you that are wondering, I don't care what race somebody is, for that matter, what species. You know, if you happen to be an orc, I don't care. Don't eat your classmates. Okay. If you're a dragon, no breathing fire in the house. It's not just no smoking, it's no incinerating. Okay. I'm a firm believer. And like I figured it out just the other day, and this is why I'm going to be running the numbers again this week and having everything set up that come the beginning of 2024, that I will open the doors completely. You'll be able to start as soon as I've got the numbers. You guys will know about it, and this is why I say, where it comes to the consultant, to the philosophy side of it, or the consulting side, whether it's personal or business, I don't care. Okay, I'm only charging $80 an hour, $20 for 15 minutes. And yes, I will work in 15-minute increments for people. Okay, but get it on paper. That is what's going to make the difference. Okay, because it'll help keep you focused. And absolutely, Kimberly, just a thought. You know, like I said, I would love to hear how people's projects are going along. Okay. Now the fact I've already opened the doors, I've already said Inner Voice Enterprises is going that direction. Okay. Heck, nowadays politicians don't want you collecting water. Okay. The thing is, we are being taught to fear our neighbor. Okay. We are being taught, if you don't look exactly like the person you're looking at, like you are, then they're evil. You're the wrong skin color, you're evil. You're too short, you're just beneath my notice. I kid you not. Okay. You know, now I was in what was it, Shoppers today. Now, I kid you not. I had a young lass coming, well, young lass, she had to be close to 80, that was that tall. Okay. Now, there were a number of people that walked by her. Okay. I stopped and looked at her, and I looked up because she was looking at the top shelf. And she goes, "Can I bother you to get that for me?" I looked at her, and I laughed. I said, "Vertically challenged, are we?" And I reached up and grabbed it. You know, grabbed the thing for her. What are we? What do we got here? That's excellent, Kimberly. Kimberly says, "I've got a friend who's opening up one soon." Derek goes, "Mickey Mantle rookie card just sold for 12 million. Now, this is fantastic. Now, if a piece of paper this big can sell for $20 million, is changing somebody's life worth $80 an hour? Okay. If you're given tools that work, and every single one of the tools I offer people, if they apply to me, I'm using them. This is why my world is changing. And there's Horatio back there. Actually, in all fairness, this is not Horatio. And I'm sure you guys recognize that issue. Okay. You know, Horatio, I knew him well, except this guy, this wasn't Horatio. When I picked this up, it used to have a working mandible. But there was a young lass that lived in it by the name of Sam. Okay. And boy, was she unhappy. She decided she wanted to kill my current wife. Bear in mind, I used to date Sam back in it would have been 19. Guess it would have been about 1917. Now, understanding 1917, I was still a very violent individual. In 1917, I was 19 years old, just about to go to war, as it turned out. Matter of fact, I was already enlisted due to an altercation at 16. But, the reality of it is, this is getting cleared out of the way. Okay, because I no longer desire the clutter. So these are, by the way, comics. I gotta go through them. They're getting sold. Okay. So, from that standpoint, but I'm going to be looking for people that actually desire it. From my standpoint, boils down to this. I'm looking at the world at a phenomenal world that has incredible potential. But if we don't do something and we don't get off our tail feathers and quit relying on the government to change, to pass policies to make it work, or the corporations to change things. Okay. If we keep waiting for these so-called people in control to change our life, we are not going to make any functional headway. This has been proven time and again. Heck, I was alive back, 1,700 years ago. I saw what the government let happen. Quite frankly, I saw what the government encouraged to happen. Okay. And just to be clear, thank you very much, Kimberly. I appreciate that. You know, no offense intended to anybody, but one of the biggest things we got to remember in this chat room, in this stream, number one, absolutely necessary for everybody to feel safe, for it to be family available. And I don't mean Adam's family available, although I got nothing against them. Used to love the show, to be honest with you. Okay, but matter of fact, I still do. They were twisted, but they were fun. They were also a movie, unless of course you knew some of the people I knew. But we've got to stop looking in the mirror and going, "Oh, the government will sort it out. The major corporations will correct the problem." Major corporations aren't going to correct the problem. Honestly, Derek, if I were to pick a favorite dinner meal, okay, and I do mean the one I like having, would be liver and onions. Okay, that's not my most common. Quite frankly, I can't cook liver. I can't cook a lot of things. But if I were to pick a favorite, liver and onions done well would rank right up there and may well hit the top of the line. But so few people know how to cook it properly. I used to have a cook in one of the restaurants I lived at. He would make liver that melted in your mouth. And he literally told me, he says, "Look, we've just gone from a cafeteria style to half cafeteria, half fine dining." He says, "Even if I'm working the fine dining," he says, "you come in, you want liver and onions in the cafeteria, get the order to me directly, and I'll make sure I cook it for you." Because, from my standpoint, it worked out really well. When I get done this stream, I've got a bunch of elk jerky that I'm pulling off the rack. Okay. Simply because of the fact, well, I did figure out how to do that reasonably well. But I've got this image in my head of a phenomenal empire whereby not only is everyone being trained not what to think, but how, or more to the point, reminded how to think. And yes, for those of you that are wondering, that does mean remembering the idea of critical thinking. And rest assured, there's a big difference between critical thinking and criticism thinking. Okay, we're talking about the ability to discern a path that is functional for you. Okay, and I do mean for you, not for me. For me, I know where I'm heading, and I'm no longer interested in living on the edge. Okay, I'm just not. And with the amount of setbacks I've had, the one thing I have determined is that absolutely persistence is what's going to get me there. Come to think of it, I think I wrote that. Now I'm curious. And this is what I mean by taking a look at things and go, okay, how fast can you change the way your life is going? I did so. Thank heavens I've got access to an editor that knows how to transcribe as well. Which means, ouch, this article that I wrote today, okay, is literally going. It's the last one I needed for the newsletter coming out. Well, it's supposed to come out today, so I get that done. Then I can ship it out by email. Philip, welcome back. You know, the reality is, let your imagination do what you desire it to do. Okay, Kimberly, in your case, you've got a healing center in mind. Pull the paperwork out again and start altering the energy around whatever you're working on to make that a reality. Yeah, actually I did. Okay, I did write about Halloween itself. As a matter of fact, should be in October's. Oh, I've got it on soft copy here. Where are we? Because I haven't printed it off yet, but where are we here? Oh, oh, already had that written. Okay. Well, that's an interesting little discovery. Anyway, where are we here? Paranormal. Oh, that's because I'm working on November. The article I wrote on Halloween was in the October edition. This is November that's coming out. But that being said, if you're not on the mailing list, the mailing list for the newsletter is 100% free. Whether it's coming by email or snail mail, doesn't matter to me. Okay, if you're not on the list, absolutely let me know and I will be very happy to get it out to you. Because I've still got all of them. Where did we go here? Ken, how you doing? Glad I did not see you come in. But where are we here? Chad Smith. This is the link to his archives. So again, drop in, give him a listen. He's got some great stuff there. So absolutely listen to it. If you like it, give it a thumbs up. Do subscribe to the channel. Do subscribe to the channel and then share the daylights out of it. Kimberly is asking, can you have a show on generational curses, how to break them, etc.? Where are we here? Pen. Adding that to the list right now. Where are we here? And yes, we will absolutely deal with that. Where are we here? Yeah, Kimberly, we will definitely deal with that. By tomorrow, I will have next week laid out because I've got all of the topics already set up. I just haven't put them on hard copy just yet. See, I got that one down to a fine art. Philip, every year I dress up as a Canadian. Yeah, that ultimately, the odd part there, Kimberly, is that many people take the contract from an ancestor and it becomes essentially an ongoing curse because the terms of the contract were not laid out properly and people are still working on the other end. Well, but yes, Kimberly, we will have that in the very near future. I don't think I've got that marked off yet. I do need more desk space, obviously. Oh, well, that makes it easy. Do I have anything marked for that? No. How's this one for a solid setup there? Because I don't have it booked yet. Now, the 20th, which is this week, we're already booked. Okay. Said the 27th, which is next Friday. Okay. Now, yeah, that's probably the best place to put it. Next Friday, we will take, where did we just write it down? Generational curses. Generational curses and contracts. How to settle them. Or more to the point, how to balance them. Okay, Kimberly. How to break generational curses and or contracts. Now, do understand something very critically here, people. We are not talking about about off-world abductions. That's a whole different ballgame. It's got nothing to do with contracts. Okay, but that one I've got into my hard copy, which means 27th, that's what we're covering. Now, of course, if you've got questions as we go along before that, okay, hopefully that's soon enough, but let's face it, I sort of have to keep an eye on things and get them planned to stay on track. Yeah, no doubt. And I mean, let's face it, some of the stuff that gets passed on, you don't have to hang on to, but the problem is you're not taught how to let go of it. This is where we run into the biggest problem. You know, from my standpoint, it boils down to this. Am I going to push the limits and defy what the government has told? And when I say defy what the government has said, the government told me flat out that a healing center is not viable. It is not a requirement. Okay. And the sad reality of it is, it couldn't be more necessary than it is now. At least not my opinion. But understand, I am not talking about something outside of the medical field. I'm talking about something that works in conjunction with the medical field. And this means reaching out to make contact with people. And I am not good where it comes to playing the game of, I'm going to say something to make sure that you buy into what I'm doing. This is what I'm doing, period. Okay, your call. You get on the boat or not? If not, hey, what the heck? I told somebody years ago and then sat back and did almost nothing. Okay, I did almost nothing, but I'm going to make the comment again now. Only this time I am going to actively make it happen. Okay, and that is, I'm going to change the world around me. The question is, the option for people is either join in and give me a hand or get the heck out of my way. Okay, I will do things on a legal base. I'm not about to worry about this idea of, oh, you want to help? I'm giving out tax deductions so you can give me more money. I can get better and better tax rates and what have you. Not interested. Don't get me wrong. I like money. I like the finer things in life. And I like to see people get the finer things in life. But I will tell you, for me, finer does not mean gold line, gold rimmed glasses. And I don't mean these type. Okay. Finer means stress down to a minimum, health at an all-time high. I took my weight without the assistance of medication. Okay, now I didn't have a medical problem like people with thyroid or people with adrenal gland and with adrenal problems. Okay, I simply had this bad habit of putting more food into my mouth than the energy I was burning off. 2 years it took me, and I'm now down under 200 pounds. Actually, I think I'm down under 190. I will be showing people how to do this using your own money, using your own taste buds. Okay. Black Dragon goes, is it a generational curse or is it a social or is it a soul contract? We will take a look at that. That's something else we're going to be looking at down the road. Because people talk about, oh, my contract says this. Here's the bottom line of every contract out there. Whether it's yours, mine, John Doe's down the street, doesn't matter. We are all here for one primary purpose, and that is to remember who we are and what we are capable of. And we are going to be covering that. Okay. And yes, when I talk, I've got to figure out how to get the internet to work properly in my favor. But for the moment, I'm going to lay things out as best I can. Absolutely correct, Kimberly. There are all sorts of ways of looking at this. Okay. One of the biggest things we have to decide is, are you content with where your life is, and are you willing to stay living it? I've been content living on the edge. And honestly, it's because I didn't have the drive or the perceived reason to alter. So, with that in mind, it's time to start things changing. Now, I'd love to say who's with me, and I just did. Okay, working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. Okay, now, I am, at this point, we're hitting the 2-hour mark here. So I would like to just remind you, if you like the stream, do give us a thumbs up, do subscribe to the channel, and share the daylights out of it. Now is the time to start making this world change. And I'm no longer interested in sitting around waiting for it. I've done that for most of the summer, waiting for the government to come forth and say, okay, we'll give you a hand. What did they do? Slap, slap. It's not a good idea. I'm like, why not? I started looking at a publishing company. That is only part of what the Healing Center will be doing. It's only a very small part. And yes, I will be posting the different components to it. If somebody else decides to make their own Healing Center based on it, fantastic. Okay, let's get all kinds of them out. But starting right this split second, let's start another pandemic. Let's start a pandemic of smiles and helpful endeavors. Okay, it's a really weird idea, but how about if we all stand up and do this together? Okay, that's where we're going from here forth. Now, with that in mind, we're hitting the end of the 2-hour mark, and thank you so much for that, Kimberly. Okay, just a quick note. Tomorrow, we are covering altering. Talk about the right way to end it. That's the right note to end it on. Tomorrow, the 18th, on Wednesday, we're going to be looking at altering your life path. Take a look at your life, the way it's going. We're going to shift its gears, or more to the point, I'm going to turn the lights on and see if we can actually get things moving in the right way. Okay. That being said, oh, Derek is just telling us that Bigfoot Michigan Rob is on right now. Well, with that in mind, where are we? This is the link. This is the link to Bigfoot show. So absolutely drop in, give him a listen. If you like what he has to say, do give him a thumbs up. Do subscribe to the channel and share the daylights out of it. Okay. Now, that being said, we're going to wrap things up here. We're at the 2-hour mark. Don't want the throat to crack out. That said, thanks so much for sharing your time with me. I really do appreciate it. I will be back again tomorrow. Until then, do take care of yourselves and each other. And for pity's sakes, stay positive.